What's going on, everybody? It is Wednesday night here in Manhattan. We're going to be skateboarding to Rockefeller Center tonight. And the topic of discussion is going to be the Federal Reserve. So every night on the channel we talk about a different topic in regards to finance. So welcome everybody, and I hope you enjoy the stream. We are right here on 59th Street. Central Park South. Hey, what's up? Lena's here. What's up, Lena? The ABX girl says first. Hi. Oh, ABX girl. Lena beat you. You were almost first. You're second, which is still good. But I hope everybody's having a good Wednesday. The week's almost half over. Tonight's topic on the stream, we're going to be talking about the Federal Reserve, but I think the topic is so big that we're going to need to break it up into two specific series. So tonight will be part one in regards to the topic of the Federal Reserve, and tomorrow night will be part two. So welcome everybody to the stream. I see we have NYC Cherry Groove, we have Sierra Friend. What's up, Sierra Friend? We have Swing Boxes. Hey, Swing Boxes is here once again on the stream. Soho Guy says, yo, Tom. And Solo 401 is our pal from Rhode Island. He says hello. What's up, guys? Yeah, it is a late one tonight. I was working the majority of the day. Was working all day, very, very busy today. NYC Cherry Goose is back in the office time. Yeah, so I actually had an in-person meeting. So I actually got the chance to meet a client in person for the second time in a long, long, long time. And we have Marco P here. What's up, Marco? And Sally. What's up, everyone? Beautiful night in New York. We are on the east side. Thank you all for joining. Let's go to Rockefeller Center tonight. Let's go to Rockefeller Center. It won't be a 3-hour stream, but maybe we'll go for about an hour. Nothing too crazy. And NMLP is joining. What's going on, NMLP? NYC Cherry Grooves says, Tom, you may stream from the client's office. No, so I had a presentation. I gave a presentation, and then I went to the New York Public Library, the brand new library, and I finished some of my work at the library. So here we are right outside of the Plaza Hotel. Solo 401 says, feels weird not wearing a mask at work now. I know. So Solo 401, on today's meeting, I did wear a mask. But that's just because the client was extremely concerned. So I did wear a mask out of respect. Hey, but Fernando is here. What's up, Fernando? We have Sunshine After Rain joining us. What's up, everybody? It's a beautiful night in New York City. Solo 401 says respect, yeah. Yes, Solo 401, he was an older gentleman. But I had a meeting in Midtown Manhattan today. So I was in Midtown Manhattan. I gave a presentation to a client, which went really well, and then he wanted revisions. So I went to the New York Public Library, the brand new one, and we made the appropriate revisions. So thank you everybody for joining. We are on the corner of West 58th Street and Fifth Avenue. Hey, Charlie's here, says hola. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Gerald Lee says, hey, Wall Street Skate Bro, good to see you skateboarding tonight. What's up, Gerald Lee? What's up, Gerald Lee? Hope you're well. So we're going to be skateboarding down to Rockefeller Center. Look at these guys on top of the Apple Store. There's two guys on top of the Apple Store. That's crazy. They almost look like ants up there. I'm not sure if you guys can see that. Let's try to zoom in on that. That is actually really funny. So there's two gentlemen on top of the Apple Store cleaning the roof. That's hilarious. Hey, June is here, our friend from the Philippines. What's going on? June from the Philippines, what's going on? Hey, Lady Orleans is here. What's up, Lady Orleans? And we have Joe Hernandez, says, hey, Tom and everybody. What's going on, Joe? Go to Rockefeller Center. And we have Cosmo Scary joining. What's up, Cosmo? What's going on, Lady Orleans? Lady Orleans is our moderator from New Jersey. Sunshine After Rain says, what's the topic for tonight, Tom? So the topic for tonight is actually going to spill over into two nights. So Patrick New York, a viewer of the stream, wanted us to talk about the Federal Reserve. So we're going to be discussing today why the Federal Reserve has such a profound impact on global capital markets, but more specifically the US equities market. So we'll talk about that. But thank you everybody for joining. Thank you for all the new subscribers and everybody joining the stream. Sunshine After Rain says, thank you for the live stream earlier today. Yeah, so I was at the New York Public Library today after I had a client meeting, which was really fun. I got to check it out. It was beautiful. The library is absolutely beautiful. So if anybody is watching the stream from New York, you have to check out the New York Public Library. It's unbelievable. They did a great job. Joe Hernandez says, Tom, did you finish your paper? Yeah, so Joe Hernandez, I was working on making some revisions to a presentation, and I finished it right in the nick of time as they were closing. Lady Orleans says that was a lovely view. Thanks, Tom. Yeah, Lady Orleans, if you ever come into New York City from New Jersey, you have to go to the New York Public Library, right across the street from the main New York Public Library at Bryant Park. It's beautiful. Hey, Charlie says, how was your day? My day was great, Charlie. Very busy, very productive. We're close to getting a lot of business done, so very happy about that. What about you, Charlie? Zap Allen says, hey, Tom, how are you, man? Zap Allen, I'm very good. Long day. I was up since like 6:30 this morning. But we're still going. We're doing our thing. We're still going. Zap Allen, what's up? Hey, Michelle McGraw is here. What's up, Michelle? Hope you had a good day, Michelle. Solo 401 says 6,200 tons of gold at the Federal Reserve. Yes. So I think in order to really understand the Federal Reserve, I would want to make just one quick recommendation. So if anybody's familiar with the hedge fund manager Ray Dalio, Ray Dalio is the founder and the owner of Bridgewater Associates. Bridgewater Associates. And Ray Dalio recently, I believe last year, came out with a fantastic book. It's called Principles. So if anybody wants to check out that book, it's called Principles by Ray Dalio. And he essentially details and explains to the readers the concept of business cycles and how the Federal Reserve impacts business cycles based on the lowering and the raising of rates or interest rates. And Bridgewater Associates is arguably one of the most successful hedge funds ever. And what was funny, just a fun topic or a fun fact, Ray Dalio actually spent a lot of his time as a commodities trader for McDonald's. A commodities trader for McDonald's. Wow, look at how beautiful this is. Letty Munoz, hola, ¿cómo estás, Letty? Says, how nice New York, I love it. Yeah, New York is beautiful. Phil Manutes says, what's happening here? We're just skateboarding around New York City. We're checking out all the sites. And we're gonna talk about the Federal Reserve, how they've been leaving interest rates at artificially low levels and how they've been printing money. Hey, Michelle McGraw says, I watched the Druckenmiller video. So Michelle, what were your thoughts on that? Because Stanley Druckenmiller is one of the greatest investors of all time. And I think he did a very good job of explaining the Federal Reserve, how they're printing so much money, leaving interest rates at an artificially low level. So it'll sort of give you an idea of how the economic system works based on rates, right? Because essentially finance is the money business. It is the money business of lending money out at specific rates. So one of the biggest arguments over the past 10 years, ever since the financial crisis in 2008, is the fact that the Federal Reserve has been leaving interest rates at artificially low levels. Artificially low levels. So if you think about Alan Greenspan, if you think about Janet Yellen, and now we have Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, all of them have been extremely accommodative to this market. Extremely, extremely accommodative. So leaving interest rates and even lowering interest rates and printing tons of money. So here we are at St. Patrick's Cathedral. Here we are at St. Patrick's Cathedral, very beautiful. Hey, and I see Phil Mission in the chat. What's up, Phil Mission? So thank you to all the viewers, old and new. I appreciate everybody watching and joining. So we are now at Madison Avenue, and we are on the back side of St. Patrick's Cathedral. Phil Mission says, hi everyone, sorry I'm late for the class. Funny, Phil Mission. Hilarious. I'll catch up on some of the comments. Soho Guy says the world outside America has something like 29,000 times the amount of digital assets than the Federal Reserve. Hey, Phil says, I encourage everybody to invest, high risk, watch the money roll in. Yeah, so Phil, I agree. I think it just depends on your risk tolerance and your risk profile, but I do encourage everybody to invest. Gerald Lee says, wow, the roof cleaners on a see-through roof. It's crazy. Hey, Joe Hernandez says, no, also as St. Patrick's Cathedral to New Yorkers. Yep, St. Patty Cathedral. Jimmy Vasquez says your class is full as usual. Yeah, so here's my take on the Federal Reserve. So in the book, if you check out this book by Ray Dalio, hedge fund manager at Bridgewater Associates, he explains the business cycle. And when you have an economy that's at full employment, everybody's making money, everybody has a job, it's known to be at full employment. And that's when you could start to see inflation tick up because, you know, the money velocity is increasing and picking up. So the Federal Reserve would say, okay, let's put the brakes on here for a minute. Let's say, look, we got to slow down because an economy cannot grow too fast, right? Because you get inflationary times when an economy is running on all cylinders. So what happens is the Federal Reserve can use their tools and say, all right, let's raise the interest rates. Let's raise the interest rates to sort of say, okay, let's cut back on investment. You know, we're at full employment in the economy. Everybody just slow down. And what this does is it deters people from borrowing more money. But what's happened even since the 2008 financial crisis, we've launched quantitative easing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in relation to the TARP programs. These TARP programs. But what we're doing now, and especially under President Trump and Obama, they did a fantastic job of bringing the United States out of a recession. So when Barack Obama was elected, they did a fantastic job of bringing the United States out of that recessionary environment. But the only thing is they never adjusted interest rates back into a normal environment. So what you had is we've had a transition to corporate socialism in the United States, where big corporations can essentially borrow money for free to invest in their businesses, to buy back shares of their own stock, thus artificially inflating asset prices. So if you want to talk about inflation, and if you turn on CNN or CNBC or Fox News, when they think about inflation, they always look to the CPI numbers. They always look to the CPI numbers, but in actuality, if you really want to gauge and get a good gauge on inflation, you should look to the prices of equities. You should look to the prices of real estate and the housing market. Just this year, the prices of a single family home has gone up over 35%. And that's due to artificially low interest rates. So check out this Empire State Building view we have here. It's unbelievable. Jimmy Vasquez says Biden wants to burn out this economy. I think it just really depends on the Federal Reserve, right? So if you watch that interview with Stanley Druckenmiller, so if you put into the chat !Druck, D-R-U-C-K, Stanley Druckenmiller details exactly his investment thesis to say, hey, we're looking to the Federal Reserve to see how much they're going to overcook this thing. Because when you leave interest rates artificially low, let's say, for example, in the housing market, let's say if I am going to buy a house, and that house is $500,000, but I can get my interest rate on the mortgage at 2% or 2.5%, for example. Now that's like free money, because I'm amortizing the whole cost of the house over 30 years. So let's say if the next guy comes along and says, okay, I know the house is $500,000, I'll bid on the house $550,000 because if I'm getting this money so cheap, that's the terminology we use. It's called cheap money. If I'm getting this money for next to nothing at 2.5%, you know, if I'm amortizing that cost of $500,000 over 30 years, the payment on my mortgage is going to be insignificant. It may be only like a couple $100 more a month. So what that does is it starts a bidding war in the prices of assets. And if you really look at the data, the majority of people in the United States who own these assets are the one percenters. So what you have is when you have the Federal Reserve artificially suppressing interest rates and printing money, they're in turn exacerbating the wealth gap we have in this country. Because let's say if I had a net worth of $1 million and I had my entire net worth tied up in the S&P 500. And once the pandemic started, the Federal Reserve dropped interest rates to nearly zero. The prices of equities took off and the S&P 500 nearly doubled. So now I have a $2 million net worth, but the guy across the street that just has, you know, maybe he's living paycheck to paycheck and doesn't have any money invested in the stock market, you know, his net worth stayed exactly the same. So it's very difficult. The Federal Reserve is making it very difficult for the average person to really catch up to those one percenters. Because if you look at the data, the top 1% owns 90% of the equities in this country. Hey, and Kiki's here. What's up, Kiki? So Kiki is our pal from Rochester, New York. We love Rochester, so a new viewer from Rochester, New York, so welcome. So hopefully that makes sense. And that's the reason why all the top money managers on Wall Street, they always look to see what the Federal Reserve is doing. Because if the Federal Reserve is going to continue to be dovish, it's called dovish. If the Federal Reserve is going to continue to print money and leave interest rates artificially low, well, a lot of the asset managers out there will up their exposure to equities, will up their exposure to real estate. Because they could use their current stocks as collateral to then borrow more money to buy more stocks to make it an even greater return, if that makes sense. Hey, Gerald Lee says, Tom, do you think AIG should have just folded instead of getting the $800 million in bailout money at the end of W's term? Absolutely, Gerald Lee. So everybody, Gerald Lee brings up a fantastic point. And that also goes back to my problem with the Federal Reserve, because what it creates is it creates crony capitalism. It's not real capitalism. And you could call this corporatist socialism, where it creates an environment of zero risk to people who are in charge of all the money. So during the 2008 financial crisis, you had all of these bankers on Wall Street making loans to subprime people. And subprime means there's a very, very high risk of that loan defaulting. So in a capitalistic society, what would happen is if you take those risks and you make the bad loans and your bank goes out of business, you go out of business. But what happened during the 2008 financial crisis is the Federal Reserve came to the rescue and bailed out all of the banks on Wall Street. But the problem with that is Main Street did not get a bailout. Because everybody on Main Street, like you and me, we lost our homes, we lost our jobs. But all the bankers that made multi-millions of dollars over the course of 2005 to 2008, they got to keep all of their commissions they made on these loans. They got to keep all of the money that they made in their salaries. They got to keep their jobs. And they were bailed out for doing unethical business practices. So what Gerald Lee says is 100% correct. In my opinion, I think that we should have just let all of these banks go out of business. They should have been taught a lesson. But now, what does that send a message? Now the government is sending a message to all of the big banks on Wall Street to say, hey, if you screw up and you lose all your money, we'll come to the rescue and bail you out. So there's no incentivization for these banks to act in an ethical manner. There's zero incentive for these banks to act ethically. Because the government has essentially come in here and said, hey, make all the subprime loans you want. If somebody has a $35,000 income, absolutely. Give them 1 or 2 loans, give them 1 or 2 mortgages, no problem. And if they default, well, we'll use taxpayer money to bail you out. So absolutely, Gerald. So let me catch up on the comments here. Hey, William is here. It says, good evening, New York from Los Angeles. What's up, William? How are you, my friend? Kiki says, hello, everyone. I'm at work right now. How are you? I'm really good. It was a very busy day today in New York City. Very busy day. But we're closing a lot of deals. We're getting a lot of things done. And I'm happy to be speaking with you guys on the chat. Soho Guy says, hey, Tom, 60% of people in their homes and own them where there's mortgage on their homes. Michelle McGraw says, the wealthy are just becoming wealthier. Yeah, Michelle, that is true. That is absolutely true. Hey, Charlie, si habla español. Un poquito, Charlie. Hey, the Daily Walker is here. He says, hello. Loose72 is here. What's up? The Daily Walker says, Tom, I hope you had a good study session at the library. You seem to read and study a lot, which is cool. Yeah, the Daily Walker, thank you so much for that. The Daily Walker says, subprime, out of all the major banks, I think Chase had the least exposure. Jamie Dimon sensed something fishy. Yeah, so that's very interesting that you bring that up. So I guess we'll address Michelle McGraw's comment first, because Michelle is spot on. Yes, the rich are getting richer in this country, and the poor are getting poorer. And that's due to the Federal Reserve. It's creating a two-tier society, and it's creating an exponential gap. It's called the wealth gap. Because as we talked about, all of the one percenters in this country own 90% of the assets. So during the pandemic, when people like you or me on Main Street were losing our jobs and all of this craziness, the Federal Reserve was bringing interest rates to zero and lending out money and giving free money and bailouts to all of the airlines and everything like that. And that also ties into the airlines, and that's sort of why I'm not a big fan and I'm not happy with the airlines right now. Because if you look at the fundamentals and if you look at the balance sheet of an American Airlines, of a Southwest, they were actually pretty well capitalized to deal with the pandemic. But here's what happened, and here's where it's not cool, in my opinion. They did not keep a sufficient amount of capital or cash reserve on the balance sheet. What they did is all of these airline companies launched massive stock repurchase programs to say, okay, well, we will go ahead and buy our own stock in the open market, because the majority of the executive compensation in America is made up by options, derivative products. So by launching massive stock repurchase programs, the value of those options will go up 10x, 20x. Hey, and Dina's here. Dina Link. What's up, Dina? Says, Tom, are you a Dave Ramsey fan? Yes, I am. So Dave Ramsey is extremely conservative, but he is a very smart guy. If you follow what Dave Ramsey says, you're going to be fine. I am a little bit more risky than what Dave Ramsey says. He's all about not having any debt. You know, he even says you should pay 100% cash for a house, which I think is ridiculous. I mean, if the bank is willing to give me money for free at 2% or 3%, yeah, I'll take on the loan. But it's just about, you should not get over leveraged. Because what happened to a lot of people during the 2008 financial crisis is they got over leveraged, right? So when the bank called all these loans, they didn't have enough money to pay the loan off. Cosmo Scary says, Tom, Do you know any good copyright lawyers by chance? Yeah, shoot me an email. Shoot me an email, Cosmo. Copyright lawyers? Why would you want that? But yeah, for sure. I can hook you up. Not a problem at all. Loose 72 says eat the rich. Yeah, so here's something that's interesting that I think. I'm not anti-rich. I am all about enriching yourself. But here's the problem. It's big government that gets involved and creates a wealth gap in this country. That's the issue. It's not, and it's sort of like a catch-22. Because what the government is doing is they're trying to be divisive. And say, hey, you know, all of your problems are due to rich people. So the government, all of these people, Republicans and Democrats, they're extremely divisive people. And they say, hey, your problem are rich people in this country. So let's tax the rich and let's demonize the rich. But that's actually not the case, and you shouldn't do that. Because the politicians are extremely, extremely unethical. And those are the type of people who are voting all of these people in and telling the Federal Reserve to say, hey, artificially suppress rates, print the money, because when that happens, it enriches them. The politicians own all the equities. The politicians are the ones who own all of the real estate. So when you have a Federal Reserve that are artificially manipulating interest rates and continues to print money, that's only enriching the people in Congress, the top 1%, and those are the people who are voting on and pushing the Federal Reserve and Chairman Jerome Powell to enact these policies of easy money policies. So it's very, very decisive and manipulative. So I think it's important to see through that and say, look, if rates were normalized in this country, the average person that just has a regular job like you and me would be able to save our money in a bank account and earn a handsome rate of return, right? You know, when my grandmother was my age, she could get 8% interest in the bank. She could go to her bank and say, I'm going to save all my money, I'm going to do the right thing, I'm going to save 20% of my income in a bank, and I'll make 8% per year, right? But it's not like that anymore. So the Federal Reserve is forcing people to take extraordinary amounts of risk by going into the marketplace and buying high leverage derivative products, borrowing money on margin, things like that. So I hope that makes sense. The ABX girl says, for wealth gap issues, just read about South Africa this week. Yes, ABX girl is spot on. Loose 72, USA turning into very rich and very poor. Yeah, it's going to turn into a two-tier society. The middle class is being wiped away in this country, and it is very sad. And that's mostly due to the Federal Reserve essentially saying to the middle class, look, if you have a regular job and you want to save your money, you're going to get pretty much a zero rate of return or a negative rate of return in real rates. Joe Hernandez says, Tom, you are 100% right, but the banks made it look like it would be awful for the general public and scared them. People are puppets, knowledge is power. Joe Hernandez, absolutely 100% right. And that's the problem with big government, right? If our government in the United States wasn't big, nobody would ever have to lobby the government. Right? The only reason why we have lobbyists in this country is because our government is so big that it's advantageous to lobby them. But if our government was small and the government didn't have any power and the people had the power, corporations would have zero incentivization to go to Washington and spend multi-millions of dollars lobbying our congressmen and women. So Joe Hernandez, phenomenal point. Spot on, man. So right here at Rockefeller Center, really beautiful tonight. And this is the spot where they have the Christmas tree right here at Rockefeller Center. Hey, Kenneth's here. Says, good evening. I hear. What's up, Kenneth? Soho guy says, hey, Tom, isn't buying into market more diversity than just letting money be dead in the bank? Yes, Soho. That is true. Dina says, I'm confused about interest rates. When they are low, borrowing money is cheaper. So isn't it a double-edged sword? I can refinance at 2.875. Can you explain? Yeah, so I think that's a good idea, right? So here's the point I'm trying to make. When interest rates are kept artificially low, the economy will always be on turbocharge, right? And it'll exacerbate the wealth gap. So I would suggest reading this book, Principles by Ray Dalio, where he explains it that there's something that's called business cycles in the economy. So when the economy is running hot and there's near full employment and everything is going great, that's when the Federal Reserve should step in and say, okay, let's cut back on the asset price purchasing, let's cut back on the MBS purchasing, which is mortgage-backed securities, and let's raise the interest rate to sort of put a hold on the economy. Because what will happen is the Federal Reserve will keep interest rates artificially low, which will force hedge funds, investment banks, all the big institutions to go out and search for yield, which leads to taking on way too much risk. So if you think about the average person like you and me, or I'm not sure about what anybody's personal net worth is in the chat, but I would assume we're just all regular people here. It makes it increasingly more difficult to own those assets, right? My dollars can buy 50% less Apple stock today as it did 12 months ago, right? That's inflation. That, to me, that's inflation. But the Federal Reserve, they want to cover that up and say, no, look at the CPI numbers. Look at the CPI numbers. It's called hidden inflation, and it's the prices of assets that are inflating. So it's good news for people who own equities and who own houses, like you just said. So that's a great question. Lou72 says, you see NYC Cherry Group's question. Let me see. Sorry about that, guys. I'm trying to get to everybody. Gerald Lee says, the interest on a savings account is crap. Even online banks that were offering higher rates on savings accounts have gone crap during the pandemic. Gerald Lee, 100% spot on. Let's check out NYC Cherry Groove. But everybody, we are here at Rockefeller Center. NYC Cherry Groove says, and endorsing them. NYC Cherry Groove says, why are we blaming the government, Tom, when it is the 1% picking them? Yeah, so NYC Cherry Groove, that's a great point. My whole thesis and my whole theory is, if the government wasn't big, if we didn't have big government, the government wouldn't have any power. So it wouldn't be advantageous to lobby big government. You look at the big companies like Big Pharma, you look at big investment banks, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, they spend hundreds of millions of dollars sometimes over the course of 10, 20 years lobbying the government to put in place laws that favor their business practices. But if you look at the Constitution and you revert back to the Constitution and our founding fathers, what they said was, they didn't like central banking. They wanted to break away from Britain and because central banks are essentially a way to oppress the people. If you have a controlled money supply that is backed by gold, the United States used to be on the gold standard up until 1971. But when you have the ability to manipulate a money supply, that's when things don't get advantageous for the average person. But that is a good point, NYC Cherry Group. Great point. So I say, if you remove the power from the government, there would be no incentive to lobby them. It's sort of like, if I wanted to sleep over my cousin's house, I wouldn't ask my 2-year-old sister to say, hey, can I sleep over at my cousin's house, right? I would go to the person who has the power. I'd say, hey, Mom, can I sleep over at my cousin's house? Because I know that they have the power to make that decision. So what would I do? I would hammer them and I would say, oh, I want to sleep over to my cousin's house. So it's all about power. And a famous person once said, power corrupts absolutely. Hey, Soho guy says, hey Tom, gold is worthless right now, 10 years, because 3D printing would turn dirt into gold, into air. Jose O says, thoughts on obscene real estate market? I've seen Louis Rossman, NYC business owner, talk about it quite a bit. Yeah, so Jose, I don't think I've seen you before, so welcome to the stream. that's sort of what we were talking about on the stream, right? It's about inflation of asset prices. So CNBC, if you turn on CNBC or all the main financial media channels, they'll say, inflation, even though it's running hot right now, it's normal, it's just transitory. Look at the CPI numbers. But if you look at the prices of assets, a lot of these equities are trading at 20, 30 times sales, right? And that's all because of this cheap, easy money sloshing around in the system. And when you print money, money is going to flow somewhere. So it flows into the equities market. It flows into real estate, thus inflating the prices of houses. So right now, people are in a bidding war for houses because supply is so constrained. Supply is so low, but also interest rates are so low. So the difference on a payment between a $500,000 house and a $560,000 house is not that much. So people start to think about, okay, what about the monthly payment? Let's just think about the monthly payment because I'm going to amortize that cost over the course of 30 years. Here, let's go to the main spot here, and I will catch up on all the comments. I promise I won't miss anybody. But yeah, it's a touchy subject, but I think it's an interesting subject because every time throughout history, if you look at a fiat monetary system, every single fiat currency has gone to zero. Every single fiat currency. So the average lifespan of a fiat currency, I think, is about 80 years. Check this out, everybody. NYC Cherry Goose says, Tom, how will we change the government? Let's start a revolution. How? Yeah, so NYC Cherry Groove, there was actually a movement called Occupy Wall Street. I'm sure you remember that. It was in Zuccotti Park, which I was actually in favor of. But the only thing that I wasn't in agreement with Occupy Wall Street protesters is they were directing their anger towards Wall Street. They were directing their anger towards the 1%. They weren't directing their anger towards the government, who bailed out all the investment banks, who said, oh, you destroyed the world's global economy. We're going to use taxpayer dollars to bail you out. And Jamie Dimon and all those other bankers got their big bonuses. But the Occupy Wall Street movement should have been directed right at the Federal Reserve. Don't occupy Wall Street, occupy Pennsylvania Avenue, and occupy the Federal Reserve. So I think NYC Cherry Groove, it starts by directing our anger at the correct places. Hey, Victoria Greco's here. Victoria is our pal from Argentina. Welcome, Victoria from Argentina. What's going on? The Daily Walker says the moral hazard issue. Michelle McGraw says the government is basically controlled by the 1% because they're corrupt and greedy. Hey, Allie's here. What's up, Allie? Sorry, just let me cruise through the comments here, everybody, but we are right here at Rockefeller Center. Rosie says, buenos noches, amigo. Buenos noches, Rosie. Blue72 says, you see NYC? Yep, I did. Jose says, first time viewer, I can't believe I didn't find this channel earlier, says Jose. Well, Jose, thank you for joining. We talk about interesting topics every night on this channel, so welcome to the group. We appreciate your input, and hopefully we speak to you again on future streams. Check out how beautiful it is here by the water fountains. The Daily Walker says, do you think we should go back to the gold standard? So the Daily Walker, in college I actually wrote an article about this topic. What I think we should do is we should have a United States digital cryptocurrency that's backed by gold. A United States digital currency that is backed by gold. NYC Cherry Groove says, what does anger do? What changes need to take place for change, Tom? No politician answers, please. Yeah, so NYC Cherry Group, well, the first step to a movement is understanding the problem. Right? If nobody really understands the problem and says, and just believes the media that everything is the fault of the 1%, the way to correct behavior is to punish bad behavior. So, for example, during the 2008 financial crisis, of course, JP Morgan and all the big investment banks and Goldman Sachs were going to say, hey, you know, if you let us go under, you know, you're going to have a Great Depression like the world has never seen. But that's a business cycle. Sorry, that's a business cycle. You have to let the free markets turn, because what will happen is these companies will go into bankruptcy and they'll sell for pennies on the dollar, and then the free market capitalism will take place and create new businesses and new banks that are run more ethically. Because let's say if I'm a bank, right? I was Lloyd Blankenfein at the time that was running Goldman Sachs. And I was called to testify before Congress. And I was told, hey pal, kick rocks. Kick rocks, pal. You destroyed the global economy. We're not bailing you out. You're going broke just with all your little buddies. Then the company would go into Chapter 11 bankruptcy. It would be a huge mess. We would probably have a global recession for 5 or 10 years. But the new businesses that would start would learn from those mistakes and say, hey, you know, if we make loans to people that have an income of $20,000 and we're giving them a loan for a house that's $500,000, okay, we're probably going to get burned on that loan. So let's not do that. So that creates an incentivized society for ethical business practices. So I think it needs to start with punishing the bad activity and not encouraging the speculative activity on Wall Street. Hey, Kenneth Boza says gold and silver will most likely never become worthless, Kenneth says. Melissa White, hey, what's up, Melissa? Says, hey, bro, nice to see you, as always. Absolutely, Melissa. No, but I agree with NYC Cherry Group. I mean, Cherry Group makes some great points. You know, and I think a lot of people are fed up with the situation that's going on, so I agree. Joe Hernandez says, Occupy Wall Street had good intentions at first, but didn't have structure and fell short without directional leadership. I agree. So I was actually for the Occupy Wall Street movement, but then it sort of turned into just like this eat the rich, screw the 1%, instead of end the Federal Reserve and reward people for saving money. But yeah, I knew this was going to be an interesting topic tonight, and I think everybody in the chat has some really, really good ideas. Soho Guy says, what if gold becomes worthless? Gold will never become worthless, because gold, as we talked about on last night's stream, we're moving towards the age of artificial intelligence and machine learning and IoT. And in order to make all of these semiconductors, you need precious metals, you need rare earths. So there'll always be a demand for that. But I think what's interesting is, and this is going to be a whole other stream because I can go down a whole other rabbit hole. If you look at the prices of gold and silver, they're extremely, extremely manipulated. And the way we can know that they're manipulated is because we have to look at the derivatives market. So if you type in ticker symbol SLV, you know, that's actually not real physical silver. It's called, on the street, they call it paper silver, right? It's a derivative, and a derivative is something that derives value from the underlying asset. So what happens is whenever silver or gold starts to get a bid in the marketplace, all of the investment banks like JP Morgan, BNP Paribas, Citigroup, they just dump more paper derivatives or paper silver on the market, and they pay hundreds of millions of dollars worth of fines every year. Oops, sorry about that, guys. I'm getting hammered by my customer. So my phone's probably going to go in and out because this customer calls me 20 times in a row. So just keep that in mind. But we'll talk about that next stream. We'll talk about the paper derivatives market in silver and gold and how there's actually inverse bubbles in the economy. There's actually inverse asset bubbles. So if we think about a bubble in the equities market, in the real estate market, there's actually inverse bubbles with precious metals, and that's due to something called the paper derivatives market, which we'll talk about. Loose 72 says Industrial and Commercial Bank China Limited, biggest bank in the world. Jose O says thoughts on hardware wallets and their advised security. Yeah, so if you're talking about a place to store like a digital currency like Bitcoin, yeah, I wouldn't store it on any sort of exchange. What I would do is I'd pull that to cold storage. It's something called cold storage. So yes, Jose, I would do that. But thank you everybody for joining. We have a lot of new subscribers, so thank you Jose O for subscribing. Soho guy says, nope, gold and silver, they will with the evolution of technology. I agree. NYC Cherry Group says gold and silver is used for conductors. NYC Cherry Group is spot on with that. NYC Cherry Group is spot on. Victoria Greco says, I stay up waiting for your live stream. That's so nice, Victoria, thank you. But if you have to sleep, feel free. But NYC Cherry Group, I just wanted to sort of piggyback on what you said. I know you said don't recommend a specific politician, but I would just like to say that out of all of them, I think our best shot was Andrew Yang. I think that was our best shot because he understands this stuff, and I think he's a very stand-up, ethical guy. But we'll get off the top of politics. But the Daily Walker says, do you think we should go back to the gold standard? Yes, I think I answered that. I do think so. What do you think, the Daily Walker? Do you think we should go back to a gold standard? What do you think? Yeah, Michelle McGraw, they took this statue down here last night, or 2 nights ago. I don't know why they did. Rosie says, hace frio. No, it's not. It's, how do you say it's hot in Spanish? Hacer, I think. No, hacer means to do. Hacer is to do. But it is actually very hot, humid in New York City tonight. So let's skateboard down to the Empire State Building. We'll check it out. Soho guy says, hey Tom, aluminum was the most expensive material in the 1950s. Now IRS cheap, or now is cheap. Same thing will happen to gold and silver. Yeah, so I think gold and silver, it's a good store of value, right? I think you'll always have use cases for them in an economy, but I think as we move towards building more electric vehicles, building modern smart cities, like IoT smart cities, we're going to need more demand for these precious metals and rare earths. So I agree. Joe Hernandez says Tom Caliente is hot. Got it. Thank you, Joe Hernandez. I like those motorcycles, but they're way too dangerous, man. I think they're way too dangerous. I mean, I could never ride one. I just don't understand how they do those oh, sorry about that, sir. I don't know how they do those wheelies. I don't get that. Melissa Melissa says bikers, absolutely. So we're here on West 48th Street and 6th Avenue. Jose O says commuting on a skateboard is liberating. Personal favorite would have to be the Madrid brand of skateboards. Nice, Jose. That's awesome. Yeah, skateboarding is liberating, man. I agree. Phil Mission says wheelies are easy to do. Really, Phil Mission? How do you figure? Phil Mission, walk us through the practice of doing a wheelie. Michelle McGraw says it's crazy how they just cut through traffic like that. Huh, I know. See, I'm not for that though. Bikers cutting through traffic, I think that's dangerous. It could cause accidents. Victoria Greco says, interesting question, NYC Cherry Groove. Hey, Peace Ghost is in the house. What's up, Peace Ghost? Lou72 says, USA has most gold in the world. Did not know that. Michelle McGraw says the statue was actually supposed to be taken down last month, I believe. It was there longer than planned. Very interesting. NYC Cherry Goose says, Tom, what do you think of capitalism? Yeah, so I think capitalism is the best system I know. I think it's the best system when it's actually implemented. But what we have now is we have crony capitalism. So ever since pretty much the 1971, we've had something that's called crony capitalism, which is the influence and the power of government to essentially create a corporatocracy socialism, corporate socialism, like I explained. Because now companies can act any which way they want and they'll get bailed out from the government. That's not capitalism, that's not free markets. Free markets is, look, if you create a business and you do something unethical or your customers say, hey, we don't like your product or your service, well, then you go out of business. And then somebody else comes up and replaces you. But what we have now is nobody's ever allowed to lose. You know, if you're a business and you go out of business, we're like, nope, we're gonna give you government subsidy and we're gonna give you a bailout. Just like what happened in the 2008 financial crisis, that's not capitalism, that's socialism, that's crony capitalism. And the same thing that happened during the coronavirus pandemic. The government just printed all this money and said, hey, airlines, you should stay in business, even though you spent millions of dollars buying back your own shares of stock, and now you're in a bad spot. We're not gonna allow you to go out of business. We're just gonna print all this money and give it to you, but accept what the government doesn't understand is that the government's money is our money, is the people's money. But if we allowed the free market to work, any sort of bad doing or unethical doing by a corporation would be punished by the free market. Hey, Melissa says, where are we going, bro? Melissa, we are going to the Empire State Building. Hey, I see Ryan Rides here. What's up, Ryan? So we're here near Bank of America Tower. Check out how crazy Bank of America Tower is. NYC Cherry Groove says, Tom, are you against socialism? Yes, I am. Especially when it's corporatist socialism, I am very against it. Victoria Greco says, in Argentina, we have populism running, and it's a disaster. Do you know what populism is, Tom? Or populismo is, Tom? No, I don't, but feel free to share that with us, Victoria, in the chat. We'd love to hear. Lady Orleans says, Tom, how long will you be skateboarding tonight? Maybe just about another hour. We'll go check out the Empire State Building and we'll call it a night, Lady Orleans. Lou72 says, yeah, inline skating would be fun. NYC Cherry Groove, I agree. So thank you everybody for joining. I really appreciate it. If you're new here, feel free to like the video and subscribe if you like this sort of content. Hey, Peace Ghost is Lego building. Andrew Calhoun is our moderator from Australia. He says, oh no, I missed the notification again. No big deal, Andrew. We were talking about the Federal Reserve tonight, and we were having a very interesting and engaging conversation. Everybody is contributing, and I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot. Everybody's sharing really cool ideas. But Victoria Greco, feel free to let us know about Argentina. I would love to learn about that. That's the whole point of the channel. So I would love to learn sort of about your political systems. Joe and the Juice coffee shop. We are here at Bryant Park. The Daily Walker says, thoughts on Alan Greenspan? Yeah, so Alan Greenspan's another money printer. He's another, easy money, very accommodative policies money printer. But I do have his book. I do have Alan Greenspan's book. So what I think is important is to have an extremely, extremely open mind. So even though I tend to be more libertarian in my beliefs, I'm always 100% open to new ideas, because I think that's how a functioning political system should work. And a functioning financial system should work, is open and respectful of everybody's ideas. Nice. All right, let me check out the comments. Let me take a break here and check out the comments. NYC Cherry Groove says, Tom, if you're against socialism, how do people get pensions? How do they retire? The non-working and the disabled survive in a capitalism society? Yeah, that's a great question, NYC Cherry Groove. So those, you could consider them socialist policies, right? You can consider them socialist policies, but it's not to say that that is a governmental, it's not to say that that's a governmental totalitarian sort of system. And if you really think about it, anything that the government manages in terms of the social security system and infrastructure, it's a total disaster. If you look at, and that's sort of going to be another topic for another stream, but if you look at the funding rates of Social Security, it is extremely, extremely, extremely underfunded. So one of the biggest issues that I have is that probably when it comes time for me to retire, I probably will never be able to see any of the money that I put into Social Security. So Social Security is just one big Ponzi scheme that's run by the government, and the government manages that money, and they mismanage that money to an extreme, extreme degree. So there was a very interesting article in Investors Business Daily about the person who founded the 401k. And he sort of goes into talking about how all of these government programs like Social Security are insolvent and things like that. And so what he proposed is to put the responsibility back on the people. Because what a lot of people are doing now is their sole focus is to just say, I'm going to throw all of my trust and belief into a government to bail me out with Social Security or a pension. So if you look at all these big government jobs, and if you look at places like Argentina or Venezuela, the majority of people actually work for the government because they're like, oh, I just want a cushy government job, I want my big pension, I want my social security checks. So that in and itself can create a disincentivized society. And nothing that's owned by the government runs and operates efficiently. The social security system is so underfunded and mismanaged that people that are my age will probably never ever see that money ever again. But Cherry Group brings up a good point. And NYC Cherry Group brings up an absolutely phenomenal point, because what I think and what I agree with is that we should be able to have people in this country retire with dignity, right? So if you think about all of these programs, like Social Security, like these pension plans, if we can identify the flaws and figure out ways to fix them, I would be all for that. But I think that one of the solutions perhaps could be we could take the ownership of Social Security and give it to a private entity and hold them to the standards of a private entity, a for-profit sort of organization, and not have it tied up in government bureaucracy. So perhaps we could do something like that. But to make the argument that Social Security is efficient and it works is just not true, because it probably won't even be around by the time I retire. But Cherry Group brings up a great point, and I think that's something that needs to be addressed. Something that needs to be addressed. So great question, NYC Cherry Group. Let me catch up on the comments. NYC Cherry Group says, ha, Tom is not answering. I just answered. I gave a 10-minute answer. Andrew Calhoun says, did anybody see the guy snipe Action Kid today? LA is creepy. No, I didn't see that. Hey, Late 90s Raver says, cool live stream. Thank you, Late 90s Raver. I appreciate you being here. Thank you for joining the channel. Kiki says, Tom, I thought I could work and watch. I can't. No problem, Kiki. Melissa White says, I'm against socialism. Bunch of BS. Kiki says, everyone have a great night. Have a great night. Have a great night, Kiki. Our pal from Rochester, New York. Let's see. NYC Cherry Group says, libertarians are against helping the weak or the non-contributors to capitalism. I would disagree with that, NYC Cherry Group. I'm all about helping people. So I think what's a good example of that is Andrew Yang. And I think a lot of people get confused or confuse Yang. So a lot of Republicans will confuse Yang with the socialist, but he's not. He's actually a very pro-markets, free markets type of guy. But Andrew Yang understands the fundamental factors that are going to impact this economy, especially with artificial intelligence, AI, that are going to replace a lot of jobs. So we need to adjust our infrastructure as a country to accommodate the new world global economic system due to all of these new technologies. And one of those things includes finding out a way to provide for those who do jobs that are so necessary and vital to our economy, but actually are not rewarded in a monetary sense. So it sort of goes back to what NYC Cherry Group was saying. So for example, just think about all of the stay-at-home moms out there that they do amazing work. I mean, I think stay-at-home moms are some of the biggest angels and some of the biggest necessity to a thriving and functioning society. But in terms of a monetary value, the economy does not reward them in a monetary sense. So what NYC Cherry Group was sort of saying is that, hey, look, if you have a pure capitalistic society, and if you're a single mom and you have to take care of your kids, the market will essentially tell you your value in terms of a monetary standpoint is zero, right? So what are some of the ways that we can overcome that and sort of merge that into a modern society to say, hey, these things are necessary for a functioning society. These jobs, like being a home health aide, are so vital and so crucial to our well-being as a society, not even just as a country, but as a society. So what are some of the ways that we can cure that and say, look, we're going to take care of you from a monetary standpoint too? So that's a great question, NYC Cherry Groove. And I think it's something we all need to work towards. And I don't think everybody has the answers yet. Hey, Patrick, New York is here. Patrick, we're on your topic tonight. We were talking about the Federal Reserve. We were talking about the Federal Reserve today. And we are near Salesforce Tower in Bryant Park. So thank you everybody for joining, and thank you to all the new people. I'll catch up on the comments. If I missed your comment, feel free to put it in there again. Phil Mission says, in a free economy with no government manipulation, you would not need government to pretend to help / the needy in pensions. Good point, Phil Mission. Blue 72 says, government likes to steal from the piggy bank a lot. Absolutely. Soho guys says, hey Tom, what about getting rid of Social Security and have people retire with their kids and grandkids, personal responsibility? I don't think you can make it as black and white as that, Soho guy, in my personal opinion. NYC Cherry Groove says, money is a drug. Sorry, lost the comment. Or a source of survival. Capitalism is never... Oops, sorry about that. I keep losing the comment. I promise I'll get to everybody's comments, because I'm interested in reading your comments. I can't find Cherry Groove's comment now. Interesting. Gerald Lee says, a lot of people who claim to hate socialism are the biggest beneficiaries of it. Yeah, so Gerald Lee, that is exactly like everything that we were talking about, right? You are 100% spot on. So if what we were talking about is how the Federal Reserve is creating a corporatist socialism, right? And so the one percenters are the biggest beneficiaries of quote unquote socialism. Because the one percenters are the ones that are getting all these bailouts. The government is printing money, taxpayers' money, and giving it to these corporations to bail them out. So they virtually have zero risk in the marketplace. So what I propose is to get rid of all of that. Let's reinstate free market capitalism into the economy to say, hey, if you're an investment bank and you make bad loans, you should go out of business. You will not have a free lunch and the taxpayers will not bail you out. So Gerald Lee, you're 100% right. Some of the biggest beneficiaries of socialist policies right now are big corporations and investment banks. And what I propose is end the Federal Reserve, end corporate socialism, bring back true capitalism, and put the power back to the people. Because if you mess up or do something unethical, you should go out of business. You should not get bailed out by taxpayers that are going to work every day, in my opinion. And so what Gerald Lee says, that is a socialist policy, right? Just printing the money, free money, here you go. Oh, Goldman Sachs, if you want to make terrible loans and make hundreds of millions of dollars in commissions on it and then crash the global economy, sure, no problem. We'll just print a bunch of money and bail you out. No problem. That's corporate socialism. That's terrible. Okay, let me catch up on the comments. I promise I will not miss a single comment. So not to really morph into a political conversation, but those are sort of my thoughts. But again, I respect The one thing about me is I respect and will listen to everybody's point of view. And I think that's something that's very rare nowadays, because it seems as if everybody is at each other's throats. And what I think, in my opinion, it doesn't matter if you're on the right or the left. I think every voice should be heard. So if you're a Democrat, I'll listen to your ideas and your thoughts, and I'll respect them. And maybe I'll learn something from you. The same thing with a Republican. I'm down to listen to a Republican's ideas and thoughts. You know, maybe I'll learn something. I'll listen to what a socialist has to say and their explanations and their concerns. I think that's what a democracy is all about. Not yelling and screaming at each other. That's not right. I think what happens is when people get all beside themselves and start yelling at each other, I think it's an insult to their intelligence, right? And I truly do believe that people are very hardworking people and that they're intelligent, right? So to say, no, you're an idiot, your ideas mean nothing, you're stupid, that's an insult to their character, and that's not right. Let us check out the comments, guys. Sorry. Apologize. Gerald Lee says police departments, fire departments, health departments, road building departments, food stamps are paid for with taxes. They are socialist systems, so socialism is not always bad. Very good point, Gerald Lee. And to piggyback off that, Gerald Lee, we have the best fire department, the FDNY, in the entire world. In New York City, and we have the best police department, the New York City Police Department, in the entire world. Not being biased. Hey, Ibrahim is here. What's up, Ibrahim? NYC Cherry Groove says you need socialism with capitalism. Okay, so like a little bit of a mix, like a hybrid system. Okay. So NYC Cherry Groove, Andrew Yang is sort of all about that, right? He says, as we move into this new age of artificial intelligence, AI, machine learning, where a lot of these jobs will be replaceable, the free markets will essentially say, okay, now your value is zero, right? So we need to sort of figure out a way we can create programs to have people have stability, right, as we talked about before. So if you're a stay-at-home mom or you're a stay-at-home dad, I personally believe they have monetary value in a society. They probably have one of the most important jobs, because if our kids aren't being raised properly, we're going to have an extremely, extremely difficult time progressing as a society. And right now, as Cherry Groove was saying, in a pure capitalistic society, technically the free market values them at zero, right? Because they're not getting paid. So maybe somebody that's smarter than me could come up with an idea to say, look, let's put in place a program that will be able to aid these people to sustain them throughout their life. So we'll see what happens. I think Andrew Yang was the guy to do that, but unfortunately, we tend to vote in not the best people, but regardless. Oh guys, this is I respect these guys a lot. So these guys are always here every Wednesday night feeding the homeless. It's called the Hunger Truck. And they're always here feeding the homeless. They do great work. So I know the Swan isn't with us tonight, but this is the Empire State Building. Empire State Building looks beautiful tonight, guys. All right, let's take a load off. Let's take a little rest here. And we'll crush through some of the comments. So we are here in front of the Macy's. The girl in the curl says, why is that man in the street? I'm not sure, girl in the curl, but thank you for joining, girl in the curl. Always good to have you on the stream. Peace Ghost says, dude, I have to joke around. I just had a flashback of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, a scene where Charlie wrote the letter and Dennis having to read it. Victoria Greco says it's a mix between socialism and communism. Government give people things for free, like food and money. Same thing that happens in Venezuela. And we have 50% inflation per year. It's crazy, I know. It's a terrible system. Terrible, terrible system. And so that's what stifles innovation too. And that's why America attracts all of the greatest and best minds in the world. So as we were talking about on last night's stream, so long as America projects to the rest of the world to say, hey, look, if you want to come here and you want to build a business, we will allow you to enrich yourself. We will allow you to be successful. We will allow you to innovate and create and build wealth and not steal it all away from you. So if you think about the smartest minds in the world that come here on an H-1B visa, they're choosing the United States for a reason. They're choosing Canada for a reason, because we have the most free market capitalism out of anywhere in the world. So that is a good point. Are we perfect? No. Is it a perfect system? No, but it's the best one we got. But Victoria Greco, thank you for sharing that with us. Victoria Greco says you can come to Argentina and pay 65% in taxes just to buy $100 USD to help the weakest. That's not fair. I agree, Victoria, that's crazy. Well, I think that's why some countries like El Salvador are actually adopting digital currencies to say, look, this fiat monetary system isn't working. It's stealing our wealth. We're not going to work for the rest of our lives to have nothing to retire on. We want something that we own, that we have full autonomy over. Soho guys says, God bless the FDNY. Absolutely. Hey, Anonymous Chuck is here. Says socialism equals corruption and corporate socialism equals systematic totalitarianism. Corruption equals China Loop. The ABX girl says, hi, girl in the curl. NYC Cherry Group says socialists feeding the hunger. No. So I think, Cherry Group, we can't say that like every like good deed is just socialism, socialism, socialism. Melissa White says, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Melissa White, how many of the homeless in New York City are drug addicts? I was in New York City for a visit and the people on the streets asked for money appeared to be drug addicts. A lot of them are, and that's due to the crazy opioid crisis we have in the United States. But I think a capitalistic system in its purest form has brought more people out of poverty than any system ever created in the world, ever. Girl in the Curl says parents have to do their job. It's a full-time job. Girl in the Curl says, good night, I have to go to bed. No problem, Girl in the Curl. Joe Hernandez says, I voted Democrat, I voted Republican, I was a Democrat now, independent. I'm for the common sense politician. I respect that, Joe Hernandez. I think I'm sort of right up your alley. Victoria Greco says, do you consider yourself a Democrat or Republican, Tom? I would consider myself a more like free markets guy. So probably I would consider myself more libertarian. So I believe people should have the freedom to do what they want, full autonomy over themselves. I don't believe that government should have interference in your life to say, for anything. That involves anything. That involves human rights, that involves women's rights, LGBTQ rights. I think the government shouldn't be involved. I think people should have the free reign to really truly do and pursue what they want to pursue. without any sort of hardship or government interference telling them they can't or cannot do something. So maybe we'll take a stop by the Hudson Yards tonight. Gerald Lee says Yang is for universal basic income. Yeah, I really like Andrew Yang. I really, really respect Andrew Yang a lot. I think he's great. NYC Cherry Groove says, I always thought a cap on personal wealth would be a solution, but people will pool money together for power and the cycle starts all over again. I'm not for a cap on wealth. What I am for is taking the power away from the Federal Reserve and creating corporate socialism. That's what I'm against. I'm just trying to make sure I don't forget any comments, guys. Kenneth says, is that D. Snyder? Hey, Patrick New York says, what's the difference between a standard IRA and a Roth IRA, which is better? So I guess it just depends on how far along you are in terms of age. But one is where you pay the taxes first, and then all of your money grows tax-free. And then once you reach age of retirement, you can withdraw that money and you pay absolutely zero taxes. Absolutely zero taxes on that. So if I contribute to a Roth IRA now, essentially what I can do is I can pay the taxes up front on the money, and then all of the money I put in there, let's say if I invested into the S&P 500 in my Roth IRA, and it grows into $17 million by the time I retire, I don't have to pay any taxes on the capital gains in the Roth IRA. So it really just depends on how much money you're making and how close you are to retirement. So hopefully that answers your question, Patrick, NYC. But this is a really good conversation tonight, everybody. I appreciate all the participants. I think we've uncovered a lot in tonight's discussion. I just wish all of our politicians on Capitol Hill could have discussions like this. You know, a free and fair discussion to say, hey, I don't agree with this, I don't agree with that. Let's meet in the middle and find an actual solution. But unfortunately, that's not how it works. Victoria Greco says, why Americans hate Bill Gates, I don't get it. Film Mission says, most homeless in New York City have mental health problems. That is true. RT says, political question, are you goofy or regular? I am regular footed. Regular footed. But PT, thank you for joining. We appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Yeah, Ibrahim says these days disagreement can cause big conflicts. So let's head over to the Hudson Yards, actually. Victoria Greco says, what do you think about the immigration policies in the United States? I don't think they're very good. I think that we should make it easier for people to come here. More specifically, I think we should make it easier for people to get the H-1B visa, because there's a lot of smart people from all over the world, from many different countries, that I think can add tremendous value to our economy. So I think we should let them in and expedite the process. That's my opinion on immigration. Because I think the H-1B visa program is one of the best things that ever happened to the United States, in my opinion. Hey, Josh D, what's up, Sid? What's up? He says, hey, Tom, I love when disagreements had zero feelings attached and we could keep it cordial. Yeah, I agree. Late 90s ravers says, I'm listening to all the lonely people while watching this live stream. Nice. The ABX girl says, there is a huge homelessness population of working families have jobs but cannot afford the rents. Yeah, the ABX girl, that's crazy. I've heard about that. That is crazy. So we are here at Madison Square Garden. We'll check out the Billy Joel sign again. Ryan Rides says, I always learn something on your streams. As Canadian, the American's POV of socialism is interesting. Well, thank you, Ryan, for joining. I appreciate it. So thank you all for watching. I appreciate it a lot. NYC Everything says, watching from the 8th Street train station. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. We have a ton of new viewers, so I appreciate everybody joining the stream. And we are right here at Madison Square Garden, where it says Friday Night Smackdown, Friday, September 10th. So I'll catch up on the comments. Victoria Greco says, awesome, Tom. I wish I could get a green card. My CV, it's pretty good. Yeah, Victoria, so I truly believe that we should be letting more people into the United States, because if we think about it as a competition, if we think about how we want to compete with other countries all over the world, we want to have the best and brightest people from all over the world coming here, right? So we want the smartest people from Argentina, we want the smartest people from Brazil, from, African countries, from Asian countries. We want them to come to the United States. So that is my take on it. The ABX girl says they cannot quit their jobs and move elsewhere. The southern cities are very costly. I agree. Joe Hernandez says December 10th is my birthday. That's awesome. Happy birthday, Joe. Late 90s Ravers' stream was dope. Thank you so much. Well, thanks for all the new subscribers. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, I like to bring up an interesting conversation and have a good discussion. I think we shared a lot of good ideas here tonight. We shared a lot of good ideas. But I think there's one thing we could all agree on, is that Billy Joel is the greatest of all time. The greatest to ever do it. We are now near the Moynihan train station. Maybe we'll do a little walking tour of the Moynihan train station tonight. We'll see. Hey, we have the biker guys. So we're here at the Moynihan train station. Melissa Whiteson's bikers. We are at the Madison Square Garden. Marco Peace is Piano Man, absolutely. Ooh, I think this guy's cart is falling over. Oh no, he's just putting it on the thing. So if you guys are enjoying the streams and you like the content, feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel, or share it with a friend who would also be interested in this type of content. We have another beautiful view of the Empire State Building. Hey, Andrew Calhoun's back. What's up, Andrew? Welcome to the stream. Victoria Greco says, why aren't they wearing helmets? That's dangerous. I think some of them were wearing helmets, Victoria. This is one of my favorite murals. Ryan Rides is off topic. Which gimbal do you use? I believe it's called an Osmo Action Gimbal. Osmo Action Gimbal. Yeah, but Ryan Rides, no specific. We have one topic every day. We cover it real quick. We could talk about anything. It's the people's stream. The Wall Street Skate Bro stream is by the people, for the people. So feel free to bring up any topic of discussion. But we had a pretty good hour-long discussion about the Federal Reserve. Hey, Dante Rose says, I have a question. What's up, Dante? Welcome to the stream, and thank you for joining. What is your question? Yeah, it is a beautiful view. Yeah, Alana Grace, I agree with that. Yeah, we don't know what people's situations are. We don't know what people are going through, so I think it's best to be compassionate and helpful to people. So I agree. Let's try to keep it respectful to everybody. Victoria Greco says, great view. So Victoria, I have a question. So in the increasing inflation in Argentina, what do you guys do as an inflation hedge in Argentina? Is there anything specific, or do you just hold commodities or US equities? Yeah, so Alana Grace, I do agree with you that everybody has their own different situations, and it's extremely important to be knowledgeable and respectful to everybody's situation. Right? We don't know what people are going through. That is true. Like one of my best friends in the city, Jesus, which we've met on the stream before, he's a homeless person, and he's lived on the corner of Columbus Circle ever since pretty much I was a little kid. And it was really to no fault of his own. It's really, a lot of it's due to political corruption in the prison systems. You know, some people are in jail for a long time for petty drug crimes, which is crazy. And it destroys a lot of people's lives. So I think it's important to be respectful of everybody's situations, no matter sort of what their income levels are or anything. So I think you bring up a good point, Alana. We'll do a quick walk through the Moynihan train station. We'll check out all of the sites. But first I need to put my mask on. Dante Rose says, I hope you saw my question. I did not see the question, Dante Rose. If you want to put it in the chat again, feel free. Of everybody. Moynihan train.
Make the airplane track 16, last fall.
All right, let's make our way to the Hudson Yards. Check out the lights on the Madison Square Garden from here. Wow, that looks crazy. Victoria Greco says the government keep printing bills, so that's why we have inflation, and salaries are not even close to that 50%. This year my salary increased 25%, says Victoria. Yeah, that's true, Michelle McGraw. You can't really get good signal in that station. But let's check out the vessel. Let's see what the vessel looks like tonight. Dante Rose says, stay safe, Tom. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's good to see that a lot of tourists are coming back to the city. Hey, and we have the Peloton office. So this is the office to Peloton, which is the publicly traded company, the exercise bike company that also sells software. Their headquarters is right here in Manhattan on 34th Street and 9th Avenue. Does anybody in the chat have a Peloton? Kenneth says, my brother Boogie Bob goes to the vessel. Nice. We love Boogie Bob here. Dante Rose says, I'm going back and watch you on the TV. Appreciate that, Dante. Appreciate that. That guy has an amazing French national team jersey. Peloton. During the pandemic, those things were so popular. They still are. Film Mission says your sister has a Peloton. What does she think of it? Film Mission, what does she think of it? I've heard a lot of mixed things about the Peloton bikes. Hey, Sally's here. We love having Sally in the chat. Sally says, hi Tom, I'm watching you on the TV. Wow. A lot of people watch me on the TV, which is cool. Hope everybody is enjoying. Thank you everybody for watching. I appreciate all the old and the new viewers. And we are close to the Hudson Yards. I think I'm gonna move over to the road. But there's a beautiful view of the Empire State Building here. Huge steep decline. This is the shops at Columbus Circle. Phil Mission said she was using it for a while, then stopped. I am not a fan. It's a lot of hype, but I guess it works for some. I prefer to go out. Yeah, so Phil Mission, you're a biker, so you know, I think that's why it was so popular during the pandemic, right? Peloton was so popular because everybody was so afraid to go outside. You know, even just a regular bike ride, people were really afraid. Yes, Michelle McGraw, I agree. Let's not argue in the chat. Let's settle our differences, be respectful of each other. We want this to be an inviting environment. Wow, there's a Whole Foods here. I don't think I've ever been to this Whole Foods. Marco P says, Tom, which building do you like better, the Empire State Building or the Chrysler Building? Ooh, that's a hard one. I think I'm gonna have to say the Empire State Building just so the Swan doesn't have a fit. But I think the Empire State Building is one of the most iconic things about New York City. So I think I'm gonna have to give my final answer as the Empire State Building. Hey, and Allie's here. Allie is our friend from Richmond, Virginia. Allie, thank you for joining the stream, enjoying the channel. Hey, Peace Ghost. What's up, Peace Ghost? Victoria Greco says, I'm a huge fan of America. I think it's an amazing country. Well, thank you, Victoria. Hopefully you come and enjoy New York. So hopefully you'll find your way to the United States very soon. It's very fun here. You can check out the city. Check this out. So this is a Lego. What is this thing called, guys? I forget what it's called. I'm drawing a blank. Does anybody know what this thing is called? Peace Coast says, dude, I've always wanted you to do a trick. Seesaw, says Patrick, New York. There we go. Seesaw. Yes, there we go, Seesaw. Kenneth says, my friend Jiff Rawson is awesome. Victoria Greco is awesome. Yeah, we're all friends in the comments, guys. So we're here at the Seesaw at the Hudson Yards. And it looks like it's all, what would you say, a flower shop? Wow, look at this. This looks beautiful. Dante Rose says a Lego seesaw. LB says teeter totter. Oh yeah, LB. What's up, LB? Long time no see, pal. Hope you're well, LB. This is a cool little flower shop here. Melissa White says, bro is my favorite. I love the Hudson Yards here, it's nice. So this is the High Line. Ooh, check this out. This is so sick. It's like a waterfall, but That's awesome. Wow, this is a great ride on the skateboard. We're coming up on the backside of the Hudson Yards. And here we are at the vessel. The Hudson Yards. Patrick, New York says Tom's got the Nikes on tonight. Yes, we do. Kenneth says I wear New Balance. Nice. Phil Mission says you definitely don't need a Peloton. NYC Everything's in the house. What's up, NYC Everything? Dante Rose says, Tom, I know you make a good president someday. Appreciate that, but I definitely don't want a career in politics. But thank you for everybody that's joining the stream, watching. I appreciate it. Shops at the Hudson Yards. Check out the vessel, it's amazing. Dante Rose says, you planning on skateboarding in other states? I'm not sure, probably not for now. I'm pretty busy in New York. Pretty busy here in New York, but maybe one day we'll check it out. Hey, Monica's in the house. Monica Erickson is our pal from Sweden. What's up, Monica? We're here at the vessel. Monica has a nice dog named Harry. What's up? check out these trees all lit up. Doesn't that look amazing? Wow. Melissa White says, bro, come to Connecticut, North Stauntington, a lot of farmlands. I'll check it out. We'll have to check it out, Melissa. Marco P says, Tom, do you ever wear skate shoes or just regular gym shoes? Marco P, sometimes I'll wear skate shoes. Sometimes, but right now, I just want to wear the most junky shoes as possible because we do skateboard a lot after work on the channel. Peace Goes says, Tom, who do you hang out with in New York? I hang out with a lot of my friends. A lot of my friends from college, a lot of college buddies, things like that. Sometimes clients. Monica Erickson says, I like the view. It's warm in Sweden right now. NYC Everything says, usually when sidewalks are glittery means it's mostly crushed glass. I think it's just regular. I think that's just the way that the sidewalks were made here at the Hudson Yards. Hey, but we have Out and About in the chat. Out and About, what's up, Out and About? Out and About is our pal from Toronto, Canada. Always a pleasure to have Out and About here. NYC Everything says, do you use an electric skateboard? We don't. I'm not a huge fan of electric skateboards, mainly because I just don't want to deal with it when it runs out of battery. I'd rather just always have a functioning operational skateboard. So everybody, I've been skating for 2 hours. I'm gonna sit down on this bench. So please bear with me. And we'll just sit and we'll chill and we'll talk right near the vessel. Hey, Brooklyn is here. What's up, Brooklyn? It says, hey Tom, how are you filming this? Handheld or on a helmet? Just curious. So we're filming this on an iPhone 11 with a gimbal. It's called the Osmo Action Gimbal. And we're right here at the Hudson Yards. It looks beautiful here, guys. Hey, and we have Cosmo in the house. What's up, Cosmo? Cosmo says, I loved it too before it got taken down with a copyright. Oh no, Cosmo, that sucks. NYC Everything says you can kick push an electric skateboard. Maybe I'll get one, NYC Everything, and we'll check it out. Alana Grace says, can people climb the vessel steps? I have yet to visit. Yeah, so Alana, you can climb the vessel. The only thing is you do need a ticket. You need to purchase a ticket beforehand. And I believe they have a rule put in place where you must be with one other person. You must be with one other person. Joe Hernandez says, hey Tom, good night. Great conversation. Later, everybody. Joe Hernandez, thank you for joining the stream. Always a pleasure to have you here, Joe Hernandez. Always a pleasure to have you on the stream. And thank you to everybody that is a new viewer and a new subscriber. So thank you, everybody. Soho Guy Yo says, hey Tom, I'm making it my mission to live in Hudson Yards. I think that's a good goal because it's very beautiful here. Out and About says, take one was set at 1080p with too much buffering. Damn, Out and About, that sucks. But Brooklyn, long time no see. I hope you're well, my friend. Patrick, New York says, very nice. This looks like Christmas time here. Yeah, Victoria says, I've heard that people went onto the vessel to commit suicide. Yeah, that is true, Victoria. It is a shame that that happened. Monica Erickson says, those trees are amazing. Cosmo Scary says, I'm debating whether I should legally fight it. I think it's fair use. So Cosmo, could you please tell us in the chat what happened exactly? What was the copyright about specifically? Melissa White says, beautiful view, bro. Thank you, no problem. Out and About says, I finally had a buffer-free live stream at 720p. Oh, so you got a copyright from the actual, like, sporting event, Cosmo? That's crazy. NYC Everything says Hudson Yards apartments have high ceilings and they are spacious too. Yeah, I could imagine how beautiful they are. Dante Rose says, I live in Barbados, but I want a house in Miami. Someday that dream will come true. I think it will, Dante. Miami is beautiful. Cosmo says they don't specify. It just was taken down and the reason I used their video. Oh, Cosmo, you know what it could be? Maybe some of the actual soccer game was showed on the video. So maybe if you just gray out the part of like the soccer game, they'll let you continue with it, perhaps. Dante Rose, if you ever get a place in Miami, let me know. I want to go to Miami too. So for everybody just joining, we are here at the Hudson Yards. Beautiful, beautiful night. Dante, where in Barbados are you from? Melissa White says, I'm going to Miami in August. Florida is beautiful. Yeah, Florida is beautiful. I love it. Soho guy, no problem, my friend. Soho, I didn't get your email. You said you were going to send an email. Maybe I missed it. A lot of people have been sending emails. And I've been pretty good to catch up on everybody, but if you send me an email and I didn't get back to you, I apologize, but I promise I will. Kiki says, Tom, you're still on, woohoo. So Kiki is our new friend from Rochester, New York. So Kiki, thank you for joining. We appreciate you being here. Kenneth says bikes, yes. Yes, indeed. So this is where they have a lot of the Soul Cycle classes here. Out and About says, Wall Street Skate Bro, you need to hire an assistant. That's funny. Dante Rose says, I have family in New York City, can't remember the area they live in. Kiki on Kiki says, I just finished work. So Kiki, what do you do for work, if you don't mind us asking? Yeah, Cosmo, I think you should just re-upload it, man. Melissa says, I hear bikes. Dante Rose says he lives in St. Lucie, Barbados. Michelle McGraw says you could edit it out, or if you leave it in, transform it in some way to make it different, and then it could be fair use. Interesting. Yeah, Michelle McGraw, that's really weird. I think the reason why it probably got taken down is perhaps, let's see, maybe because he had sort of the soccer game within the chat. I mean, he caught the soccer game on the video. So the television network is like, hey, you're showing, you know, the soccer game. When really, obviously, the video is showing the reaction. Which is crazy. That sucks, man. So here we are at the vessel. Kiki says, I am on college radio. Do I just did my show? Yo, Kiki, drop it in the chat. We would love to see that, Kiki. Soho Guy says, yeah, Tom, I think I was too direct before. No problem. No problem. So Kiki, I'm assuming you are in college student. But if you want, feel free to drop the link to your radio station. Hey, and we have Ken J joining. What's up, Ken J? Always a pleasure having you on the stream, Ken. Ken J, we are here at the Hudson Yards. Ken J, how was your day? Hope everything's well. Hope you're well. Dante Rose says, love that view. Yeah, the buildings here at the Hudson Yards are amazing. Beautiful view of the Hudson Yards. Ken Jays is very nice and happy to be here as well with you tonight. Appreciate that, Ken. Ken is always a good viewer. Yeah, the Hudson Yards is beautiful. Kiki says, no, I'm an entertainer, performing DJ for the past 11 and a half years. Wow, Kiki, that's awesome. Andrew Calhoun says, hello, Ken J. I'm sorry, I'm trying to cook lunch and can't moderate very well today. Andrew is our pal from the land down under, from Australia. Wow, check out the front of this building. It looks beautiful. NYC Everything says the views from inside the building looking out looks great. Kiki says, I got my start in radio here at the Rochester Institute of Technology. Wow, that's awesome. Ken J says, it is nice to see what they did with this area of the city. Andrew Calhoun says, thanks, Tom. Do you want a Vegemite sandwich made? So Andrew, can you please explain to us what Vegemite is? I've only heard of it on like cartoon shows, but I actually don't know what Vegemite is. Like, what is it actually made of? Wow, this area is cool. I've never been here before. this part of the Hudson Yards. I've never been here. Wow. Let's see what it says over here. It says open call June 3rd, August 1st. Great view of the Hudson Yards, though. Andrew Calhoun says, "Oh Tom, it's so yum." It's basically a yeast product that's very salty. I grew up as a baby cutting in my teeth eating it. Interesting. It's probably an acquired taste, a bit like beer when you were younger. Very interesting, Andrew Calhoun. Andrew Calhoun says the beer analogy is probably a bad one for you, Tom, as you don't drink. Ken J says, have you been inside the mall? Yeah, Ken, I've been inside the mall a couple times. I have been inside the mall a couple times. Andrew Calhoun says Vegemite is basically just grape spread on toast in the thickness you like. Interesting. So it's sort of like, it's just like a jam or something, like a spread. That's cool. So these are all the restaurants that are here in the Hudson Yards. And you could also go up to the edge, and the edge is really amazing. I have yet to go, but the edge is supposed to be an amazing, amazing exhibit here at the Hudson Yards. So the shops at the Hudson Yards, here are the hours. Monday through Saturday, 11 to 8, and Sunday, 11 to 7. Very interesting. Hey, Lady Orleans says, have a good night, Tom. Thank you so much, Lady Orleans, for joining the channel. Appreciate it. Lady Orleans is our moderator from New Jersey. Angela Calhoun, is that you doing the surfing, man? Kiki on Kiki says, is that where the Wegmans supermarket is? No, Wegmans is actually in Brooklyn, New York. Wegmans is a supermarket in Brooklyn, New York. I've never been over this way at the Hudson Yards ever. Oh, check this thing out, everyone. This thing is cool. So it's a table, but it's a swing table. So you sit here and you could eat. It's so cool. Andrew Calhoun says, in full disclosure, I didn't actually go surfing. It was one of my customers. Ah, got it. Gotcha. Ibrahim says he's back. Ken J says, wow, that's nice. Yeah, it's really nice here. This is crazy. I'm gonna see if I could sit in it. Wow, it is beautiful here. This thing is really cool. So we're just sitting here swinging. It's really nice. Oop, I think they're gonna kick them out of here. And me.
Actually, it's for the employees that work in the building, and in the evening it's closed down.
Oh, it's for the employees that work in the building. So we gotta get out of here. Huh, interesting. Hey, Kiki says, okay, Brooklyn. They are Rochester, New York-based chain. Yeah, I've been to Wegmans. It's amazing. Wegmans is amazing. Getting seasick while eating, says Monica. Ken J says, wow, that's insane. Yeah, maybe they were referring to something else. Brooklyn says, you didn't get kicked out, I know. But doesn't it look beautiful here? I would love to have an office here at the Hudson Yards. Amazing. Andrew Calhoun says, in further disclosure, I once went surfing and almost had to get rescued by helicopter. My brother actually did get rescued by helicopter. Wow, Andrew, that's nuts. Michelle McGraw says, I don't even think they saw you sitting there. I don't think so either. So everybody, this is a table where I guess you could eat lunch with all your coworkers and go swinging at the same time here in New York. Oh, my skateboard just rolled under the thing.
I gotta get it.
I'll get it later. Hey, Zap Allen's back. What's up, Zap Allen? Hey, Albert is here. What's up, Albert? Polzinski. Your video of the vessel. Yeah, so here we are at the vessel. Thank you, Albert, for joining the channel. I appreciate it. Hope you're well. So I guess we'll head out, everyone. Albert says your video of the vessel gives the impression or gives the illusion the building is sprouting from it. Nice. Well, thank you for joining, Albert. Hope you're having a great night. Ibrahim says it's 12:17. Wow, it's 12:17. I gotta head home. I didn't know it was so late. Ken J says, have you been to the top of the vessel? Yes, I have been to the top. I have been to the top of the vessel. It looks amazing there, but I was there in the winter. I was there in the vessel in the winter. So let's head back. Let's head out. So my phone may die. So I just want to say thank you everybody for joining tonight. I really do appreciate it. Albert says, thanks. Have a great, safe journey. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Michelle McGraw says, you're starting your day and we're in bed. I know. Early morning in Sweden. I know, out and about. Doing a live stream can definitely make you forget about the time. But if my phone dies, I apologize, but we're running low on battery. So thank you everybody who's been watching. I hope everybody enjoyed the stream. Thank you everybody for liking the video and subscribing to the channel. I appreciate everybody. And I have a busy day at work tomorrow. Really busy day. Yeah, so we'll just stream until the phone dies, because I do have to go back to the Upper West Side anyway. So I might as well take you guys with me. Out and About says, I am snacking on tater tots. Nice. So we are on 9th Avenue and West 33rd Street. Greco says, good night, Tom. Stay safe. Victoria, thank you as always for joining. Jose O says, see ya, cozy stream. Jose is a new viewer and I believe a new subscriber, so thank you, Jose. Hopefully we see you on future streams. And it's a pleasure having you here, Jose. So I do have the skateboard all the way back to the Upper West Side. So we'll just skateboard until the stream ends. Gerald Lee says, thanks for an entertaining and informative stream, Tom. Good night and be safe. Thank you so much, Gerald Lee. I appreciate you. Ibrahim says, it's still so bright in the city. I know. It's always extremely, extremely bright. Even at night in New York. So we're right outside Madison Square Garden. The ABX Girl says, gotta get up early, see you tomorrow. ABX Girl, thank you so much for joining. ABX Girl is our pal from the Bronx. Thank you, ABX Girl. I have to get up early too. I gotta do a lot of work tomorrow. Sally, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it. Ken J says, thank you as always for a fun time. Sorry I was late getting here. No problem, Ken J. We love having you here. Alana Grace says, get home safe. Get your rest. Thank you for the live stream. No problem, Alana. No problem. Patrick New York says, we just skateboarding and talking. That's all we're doing tonight. And an amazing view of the Empire State Building. Well, let's head back. We gotta head out. So now we are going to head back to 59th Street. Back to 59th Street, Columbus Circle. Sally says you're welcome, Tom. Zap Allen says, Tom, are you going to start your office chats this Friday? Yeah, Zap Allen, I'm going to try to, but I do need to find a streaming software where I could do so on my computer, and I have not found one yet. So if anyone knows a good streaming software where I can share my screen on my desktop, please shoot me an email at wallstreetskatebro@gmail.com, and I will appreciate it very, very much. So for those of you who are new that are joining, what I want to do is on Fridays, I'm going to be doing a live stream from my desk, sort of like a finance live stream. So we'll be doing that. Patrick New York says MSG, yes. Madison Square Garden. Zap Balance says StreamYard. Okay, maybe I'll use StreamYard. I'll check it out. I'm gonna do a test stream. I'll have to test it out. Because what I want to do is I want to be able to screen share my computer. That's what I want to do. But it'll only be like a 30-minute stream. Look at all the garbage here. Wow. Hey, and we have Techno Pink here from the Dominican Republic. What's up, Techno Pink? We had a full house tonight, guys. We had a lot of people joining. I appreciate that. Thank you. So everybody, please go check out our pal Techno Pink. Techno Pink also has a very nice channel. Zap Balance says yes, they have a free version. Kiki says Tom, Prism Live has an excellent desktop app. We'll have to check that out. Out and About says I tried StreamYard. Andrew says, Tom, did you tweak the Nightbot? I didn't get a chance to tweak the Nightbot just yet, Andrew. Just yet, but I will. So I'm gonna try StreamYard. So if you guys see me going live on Friday, and I'm sitting behind my desk, it may just be a test stream for now. And maybe by next week we'll get everything fully baked. So Techno Pink is from the Dominican Republic. So Techno Pink, how is everything in the Dominican Republic? right, so we're on West 36th Street. Albert says, wow, so many homeless and mental health problems. Never saw it so bad. Yeah, it's really, really bad here. Albert, and I think Albert is also new to the channel. I don't think I've seen him before, so welcome, Albert. Hey, and we have Tech Explorers NYC. What's up, Tech Explorers NYC? Says good evening. Tech Explorers NYC is a good pal of the channel. Always love seeing Tech Explorers NYC. Tech Explorers NYC, we were just talking about the Federal Reserve. That was the topic for this stream. We went to the Hudson Yards. Now we're just hanging out. We're skateboarding back to the Upper West Side. Is that Dan Russell I see in the chat? Hold on, I'm gonna have to stop. It is Dan Russell. Hey, what's up, man? Dan Russell said Action Kid is documenting a ton of homeless on his LA visit. It's super bad. Yeah, it's crazy. It's really bad. Techno Pink says everything is good, but it's raining a bit. Ibrahim Azam says this might sound weird. Looking at big cities encourages me to be productive. Same here, I agree. Soho guy says, hey Tom, do you like Cipriani? I've been there once. Dan Russell said just missed the Fed topic, but I'm definitely gonna rewatch to listen to it. Thank you, Dan Russell. Dan Russell is always a pleasure to have Dan on the stream. So Dan, I hope you're having a great week, my friend, and thank you for joining. Tech Explorers NYC says LA has always been bad with homeless. Yes. It is a crisis in this country, homeless people. That's a problem we definitely need to solve. Alana Grace. Kiki says Prism Live just recently updated the desktop app. It really is good, but I haven't tried anything else. So I'm gonna check it out. So thank you for all of the, thank you for everybody giving me all these suggestions. I appreciate it. Construction, a lot of road work. Well, thank you everybody for joining and coming along the ride for the skateboard. I appreciate it. I had a lot of fun. That guy sits there and does reps all the time. He's actually really nice. Very nice guy.
On my feet.
Ooh, these guys are good. Looks like they're picking something up here, or building something here in Times Square. Techno Pink says, why New York look like more garbage after the pandemic? I know. Patrick New York says, the sound of New York at night, jackhammers. 100%. Here we are at the NASDAQ. Andrew Calhoun says, Times Square feeling brave. Alberts is surprised the jackhammer this hour. Yeah, that's usually when they do the majority of the road work. Maybe you can stodge into how BlackRock is now a major landlord. Yeah, we were just talking about that actually. Tech Explorers NYC on the channel when we were talking about the Federal Reserve. We went into all of that. We did go into all of that. The artificially low interest rates. We definitely were talking about all of that. Out and About says, there's your Uber. Albert says, how can neighborhoods sleep? We can. Oh, check out this dog, everyone. Check this out. Look at him. Look at the dog. Look at the dog. So funny. Michelle McGraw says, we do need to solve it and our veterans should never be homeless. I agree. Michelle McGraw, I agree. Yeah, the creative energy in New York City is amazing.
Boy right there. Like this is a small boy right there. Look at him. Check him out. That's a wild.
Yeah, the dog is just chilling. That's so funny. Looks like they're doing an interview. I usually never come through Times Square, but I think it's late enough to where it's not crazy. Hey, Sunshine After Rain is here. What's up, Sunshine? We're just about to end the stream. We're headed home. So thank you everybody for joining. Hey, Julie. What's up, Julie? Says, hey, what's up? Happy Wednesday. I see the red steps are open, says Ken J. Michelle McGraw says, oh my God, you make me nervous. Alana Grace says, wow, so many people are out at 1 a.m. still. Jose O says, how's the city in the overnight hours? I remember seeing nothing but empty streets a year ago. It's actually coming back. So it's coming back, Jose. Everything's coming back. Marco P says, it truly is the city that never sleeps. Yes, it is. And there's so much construction, so much road work here in Times Square. It's a long light. That's one thing about New York City, the lights are like 5 minutes long. Hey, Soli's here. Soli Travels says hello, everybody. Soli Travels, hope you're having a good day. We're just skateboarding around the city. Good to see you here as always. We're here at 50th Street. To be able to skate that good, says Ken J. Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. Dante Rose says, I hope you get to work safely. Thank you. Sunshine After Rain says, good night, Tom. Or good night, Ibrahim. Good night, everybody. Marco P says, it's truly the city that never sleeps. Yeah, Techno Pink, we have an Applebee's here. I think it's actually closed down. I don't know if it reopened. You know, we'll go up one more by the BNP Paribas, which is a French investment bank, where we had a helicopter crash 2 years ago. This little courtyard here is beautiful. This is a good steakhouse. Capital Grill. And here we are at Radio City Music Hall. Sunshine After Rain says, Tom, how's your friend Jesus? He's doing really good. Sunshine after rain. I have very good news about Jesus. We actually might find him a permanent place to live in Brooklyn, which is great. So hopefully it's coming soon. Jesus will be able to find a place to live for good. So I'm trying to help him with that. Yeah, Michelle McGraw, that is amazing news. It's great. So his dad passed away, but the social worker that he's working with was able to track down who his father was. So he may be entitled to some money and will help him get off the street. So I'm actually helping him look for a place to live. And I'm helping him try to get a very cheap, affordable apartment in Brooklyn. So that's very good news. This is the MLB store. That's me. What's up, everybody? Hope everybody's having a good day. What's going on, guys? And I think we'll end it here. I appreciate everybody joining. Thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you, everybody. I do have to be up very early. I have a busy day tomorrow. I have 3 or 4 presentations that I have to give. But I think they'll go well. I think overall it'll be a very good experience. Michelle McGraw says, I wish John Muhammad could find a place to live. I know. But just as long as we get one more person off the streets, you know, I think that's a positive thing. Brooklyn says, good night, Tom. This was great. Yeah, so I'm glad everybody's enjoying the streams. You know, I try to provide a different perspective. I appreciate everybody who's been joining, who's been subscribing. So thank you, everybody. And I think we had a great conversation tonight. So thank you, everybody who participated. I appreciate all of you. Alana Grace is absolutely. Alana, always a pleasure to have you on the stream. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you for giving your perspectives in today's topic. I really do appreciate. I do appreciate you. Just trying to make sure we don't get hit by a car. Everybody is parked in the bike lane tonight. So for those of you who are just joining on Fridays, on Friday afternoons after the market closes, I want to try to do a 30-minute to an hour stream when I'm sitting in the office behind my desk. And we'll sort of go through different equities that I'm following. Maybe we'll do financial models together so we could sort of see how I evaluate companies and things like that. So we're going to shoot for this Friday. I'm going to shoot for this Friday to be able to do a live stream. And I want to share my screen. I want to share my desktop. And we'll just talk about different stocks and things of that nature. But that is to be determined. It's a little bit different. I think, you know, we always stream outside on the skateboard, but I think maybe just one day of being inside, we could sort of do a Q&A, and we could all share our different ideas of what businesses we're all interested, what stocks we're looking in, and then we could do a deep dive into the fundamentals of the businesses. We could look through the 10Ks and the 10Qs. We could look at the revenues of these companies. And I think it'll be very informative for both the viewers and me. The viewers and me. Because I think the biggest thing about the investment business is being able to be very creative in your idea generation. And I think the majority of the creativity comes out of listening to other people's ideas and perspectives. So hopefully we'll be able to do that. So we'll end it here, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Please leave a like on the video if you enjoy this type of content, and subscribe. And I will see you all later. So Monica Erickson, thank you for joining. Andrew, thank you for joining. Loose72 says office skateboarding. Thank you for joining so much, Loose72. Sunshine After Rain, thank you as always for viewing, for watching, and for being here. Rosie, hey, Rosie is a new viewer here. Says ciao amigo, take it easy, Rosie. Zap Allen, we'll see you in the next one. Tech Explorers NYC, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Kiki, thank you so much for joining. Kiki is our pal from Rochester, New York. Tech Explorers NYC, we'll see you later. Patrick, New York, thank you for joining. We will see you all in the next one. Andrew Calhoun, our moderator from Australia, always a pleasure to have you here, my friend. So thank you so much for joining. Thank you for supporting the channel. And thank you everybody for joining in today's topic. Michelle McGraw, thank you for being a moderator. I appreciate it. Alana Grace, thank you. Kiki, thank you. Ken J, Sally, Ryan Wenzel. Ryan, thank you so much for joining. Ryan, our pal Ryan, thank you so much. I appreciate it, everybody. Andrew Calhoun, Out and About. How can we forget Out and About? Unbelievable, unbelievable. Out and About. Thank you so much for joining. Our good pal Ali says, everyone, good night. Thanks for another great stream. No problem, Ali. Ali is our pal from Richmond, Virginia. So everybody, once again, thank you. Marco P, see you in the next one. Sally, thank you so much. Ali, Zap Allen, I want to make sure I'm not forgetting everybody. Ryan Wenzel, thank you. Ryan Wenzel says, you look exactly how you sound. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate it. Techno Pink, our pal from the Dominican Republic. How could I forget Techno Pink? Brooklyn says, good night, Tom. This was great. No problem. Monica, our pal from Sweden. Thank you so much. Dante Rose, thank you so much. Marco P. Thursday tomorrow, everybody. Make it a good week. Be safe, be positive, and I'll see you in the next one.